something that's very close to both of our hearts. This is "Oh Come All Ye Faithful" and Hallelujah chorus.
Gotta love that Mariah is just right there with her fans. Ooh. Love that piano. She always has this choir. She's so good at that. She's so good at that. Every time she has this wonderful choir, she goes to great lengths to do this. I really love the, listen to these runs that she's sharing with the piano. And she even gets a suspension. She's really, really, really quiet here, and I guess it gives you a better image of like the choir and the piano, but I would like to hear a little bit more.
Oh, come all ye faithful.
Interesting.
Oh, come all ye faithful.
She's holding her earpiece. And maybe there's some audio issues.
Oh, ye faithful, joyful.
Come on. Come on, let's listen to that.
Faithful, joyful.
This is something she's just, when it comes to like arrangements and getting singers that are really, really good and putting it all together, it's really hard to find someone comparable. She hires the best, and the tuning here is just like magic. It's ear porn.
Oh, come ye, oh, come ye to.
What is with ABC in this audio?
Oh, come ye, oh, come ye to.
You're right. Interesting what she's doing at the phrasing, though.
Oh, come ye.
She's doing it, she does it really, really, really light with the choir. Oh, and that's so beautiful. And then she brings more meat into the low end, and it's interesting. She doesn't usually do this. She's breaking up the phrase using consonants. It's really interesting.
Oh, come ye, oh, come ye to.
See, that's an interesting take on it. Oh, come ye, cut. Oh, come ye, right? Very interesting.
Oh, come ye to bed.
And then we get the choir again.
Oh, come ye to bed.
And then this piano. Listen to the piano. It's like perfectly on time.
Come ye to bed.
That chord is delicious. Right on the T and right on the piano chord. It's brilliant. Love it. And I love that the air is here. Check out our air. That's something like really unique about Mariah's voice and the quality with the voice, because like the nodules can sometimes give her breathiness, but a little bit of more of a power to her breathiness than if someone without the nodules were to sing that. I don't co-sign going out of your way to get nodules, but it's something that she's learned to use, and it's really exciting. And then as far as the mix is concerned, listen to the upper end of the choir. Yeah, I mean, that's again, the phrasing here, she's taking a very different approach. The attention to detail on her consonants was very interesting. Yeah. The intensity of the aspirate, the is an aspirate. Ooh. Ooh, listen to the lower part of this run. That when she does do, right, it's like a sequence, right? And so when she gets to that lower part, like do 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 do, right? The lower parts there, take a listen to this. She starts bringing this aspirate in. She keeps doing it, and it's consistent and then used in different ways. So it's never boring. It's really cool. Now she's bringing more traditional phrasing. Still very, very, it's very different. It's interesting because it's like, it's a little schmaltzy, but it's still, every consonant is right in line with the piano. I mean, yeah, it's real. I don't know. The choppiness of the phrasing. There's probably going to happen something she's going to do off the back of that, I bet. Oh my god. Oh man, there's this one moment here where her voice almost fades away. And then she comes in on a door. So it's phrasing that's playing around with the accompaniment. There are very, very few people who are as cognizant of what is around them. And she's being exact based on what's happening. You hear that us? Listen to the us. Listen to what she does on the us. Perfectly. She's blending with the choir. And then brings it home. See what I'm talking about? See what I'm talking about? She's so in sync with her choir. She's so in sync with their choir that they're doing this thing. And they do it all together. You know, it's funny. I don't know what I'm doing there, but I think you get it. That's brilliant. It's brilliant. Timing your glottals. So these are glottal onsets, and they have a very, very, very specific start, more than any other onset. So this is an aspirate gradual, and this is an aspirate abrupt. What that means. What that means is that when you do an aspirate abrupt, you're putting a lot of air, breath of air, very suddenly, a nice big puff. And so the vocal folds meet, thanks to the Bernoulli effect. That's wonderful. They just come together, right? That's kind of how the vocal folds work. An aspirate gradual is when you gently, gently, gently use a stream of air to gradually put your folds together. But a glottal is when you have the folds together and then you just kind of make a sound. So it's not, they're closed. There's no air, they're closed. Right? It starts very quickly, and yet, take a listen to how exact this is. Oh, I'm a little late, but that's still good. Ooh, that harmony is worth talking about, but let's get to the glottals. It's so good. And then listen to the harmony, man. The way that the choir slides in to the chord, her tuning with her choir is insane. So rhythm and pitch and harmony. So usually when it comes to harmony, we have different tunings, right? The modern tuning makes every half step the same. Whereas, see, if you listen to that, it sounds okay, but it doesn't sound like locked in. So, this sounds pretty, sounds nice. Now listen to this. You hear on the tail end of that, there's a locking in that happens. That's called just tuning, and you can't do that without an instrument that can micro-tune. And it takes a little bit of time to be able to. So this tuning that she's getting is incroyable. Is that stupid? Yeah, it's stupid. Just listen to how tight it is and how wonderful and locked in. And they're quick to it. This is not just a matter of being on pitch, because if you're A440, right, 440 hertz, which is A4, it's this note, and the other people are perfectly on the same like hertz ratios stuff, right? You don't get what you would need to make this sonorous sound. Listen to how they slide up here. And then on top of that, she's doing little runs where she's also tuning on the spot. I mean, come on. And listen to the tuning. This is awesome. Listen to this decrescendo and how she lets the flute come in. Oh, God, that's so damn good.
Oh my God! Whoa, very nice.
I did not see that coming. Okay. Not where I thought this was going. Nice. And she's bringing in some of the phrase. This is interesting too, because this is in different points in opera. Like performance practice changes a little bit over time. This is a much darker, richer sound. And traditionally, when someone gets older, particularly with women, you're going to get like a wide vibrato. The tone is going to be a little squirrely, and that's absolutely not the case here. This is really, really solid. Oh my God. So what she's doing, what her mother's doing here is she's contracting the aryepiglottic sphincter. And all. So what you're seeing here is called a spectrogram. And on the very end to the very end of the screen on this spectrogram, you're seeing like this very much this wall of frequencies, right? Whereas you're not getting that before, Okay, so let's listen to what it sounds like. And he shall reign forever and ever. Right, little bit in my basement. But what you're hearing on the tail end of that is the areoepiglottic sphincter contracting, and it's really cool. Really cool. So all this is to say that her mother is using different like shenanigans to get different colors in the phrase. The other thing too is you're probably hearing that this is not as crisply on time as Mariah, but classical music tends to play with time a lot more than other genres. And that's the moment where she contracts the areoepiglottic sphincter. You hear that steely sound? That. And I love this. She's bringing the steel, and Mariah is going to contrast as the phrase is handed off to her. Okay, Picardy third. Okay, little pop modulation. That's not a Picardy third. I'm wrong about that. Hold on. I don't think that's a pop modulation. Let's see. Hold on. Yeah, that's not a pop modulation. I'm pretty sure that's... Okay, so going back to the piano right here. So usually a pop modulation is just, you take a phrase like do, mi, so, and then you go do, mi, so. Here's a dramatic thing that's somewhat different. And it serves a purpose, but I think it's not appropriate in this context. A smoother way to change keys is to do what's called a secondary dominant, which is what we just heard. So secondary dominant sounds like this. I'm going to do 1, 4, 5. Okay. So the 5 here is the dominant. When we take the dominant of the dominant, follow me here, the 5 chord of the key that is the 5 chord. I know this is a little crazy, right? We're in C, and G is the 5 chord in C. But in G major, D is the 5 chord. Furthermore, you don't have D major present in C major. So this is how you change keys, right? 1, 4, secondary dominant, and then 5. Mistake there, a little added suspension, unintentional. But that's what's going on here. It's a little bit more nuanced than your general pop. So yeah, Mariah's got chops as a musician, is the point. I'm over here, I'm like, how much power does this woman have? Because it's pretty beefy. That's a meaty sound. I love this little vowel change that she's doing. Generally in classical music, you don't... The way that you want to change vowels is very different. So, and yeah, in classical music, when you have a phrase, so what you do in classical music is when you have a diphthong, aka 2 vowels, right? And forever is not exactly 2 vowels, but let's just go with or, right? 2 different vowel sounds. So a diphthong would be forever, right? You generally wait to change the vowel until the very, very end. And that's usually what's going on here. But she slightly changes vowels here to kind of like morph the sound and mold it. That. Little dig there. And that you could call that a diminuendo, but it's accomplished through a little bit of a different vowel. She also raises the larynx a little bit, but it's subtle, very subtle. I can't with operant drums ever. I can't do it. It's too much. And yet, it's so epic. It's almost perverted. There's so many. Someone is telling me that the crowd was so loud that they had to sing it twice. Like, these are not things that generally happen in opera. Hello, Epic. Wow. The way that she's getting up to these high notes. The belts are pristine and super powerful. So she gets a little, it gets a little squirrely here, but the recovery is actually really good. So it's starting to go slightly flat, and this can happen to anybody. This is it's the most temperamental instrument that exists. And so the way she adjusts is that she's doing these belts. It's not going well as she descends, so she immediately uses less air, and that allows her to more easily stay on pitch. That. Why? Why? What? Only Mariah is like, well, you know, the belts are, you know, they're okay right now, but I'm just going to throw in one of the most absurdly difficult techniques ever and a whistle. No big deal. What? What?
Oh my God! Whoa, very nice.
So the reason why that's insanely good, check this out. Right? So the belts, usually belts are actually one of the most reliable techniques there is. And the reason why is because the entire point of a belt is to make your fold super, super thick. So the cricoid cartilage, which is at the base of your larynx, can kind of go upwards and tilt, and that makes the folds go from this to this. And it has a very, very specific sound, of course. You'll have to excuse the sound here. I'm not warmed up. There we go. That's volume. So this would be a traditional, like, kind of classical approach. And you're not there. That sounds pretty awful to me. I haven't warmed up, right? But that's your warm, your vibrato. Yeah. I didn't add any AS. And you're not there. Anyway. So the big difference here is that the thyroid cartilage tilting can take a lot more breath pressure. All right, because when the thyroid cartilage tilts, and this is the classical sound, right? The Adam's apple goes this way and the folds stretch out. So it can handle more breath pressure, right? Because they're stretched like that. But because the folds in their belt are thick like this, they're shortened, it means that when they come up and down and there's too much air pressure, bam! And that can be very dangerous and cause what's called a vocal hemorrhage, which is basically your folds start bleeding because they slap together too hard. Keep in mind that for a woman, the vocal folds are about the size of a dime. So these are very, very fragile little pieces here. No. Let's see. And you're not there! There we go. Okay, that's a belt. So this, on the other hand, this is a belt. And you're not there! That I end with a little thyroid tilt there to get the vibrato. And you can tilt both the cricoid and the thyroid. So you can belt and also have vibrato at the same time. So belting is generally very, very reliable, but can also be dangerous if you're not feeling well. So as a go-to, it's concerning that it fumbles a little bit for her, but what's awesome is how quickly she ends up recovering. So she does that. She does the belts. The belts don't work out that well, so she switches to a whistle, which is insane and ridiculous. She doesn't hold it, and that's smart. If your notes aren't working for you, don't hold them. So she does that, switches it up, doesn't hold it. She tries to go very light on the way down, and it's still a little squirrely. Now again, this could just be that, like, this isn't a matter of technique why these problems are happening. This could be like vocal exhaustion, acid reflux. So what I want to bring attention to is not that there are mistakes, because that can happen to anybody, but it's how she is so quick to navigate around these mistakes. So there, she's tilting her larynx low, which gives you the same reliability and is also going to fatten up that sound, which is in great contrast to the whistle. So she's pulling out all the tricks. So whatever was going on, she just figured it out. This is spectacular. I have chills. This note is so clean, crystally, and beautiful. I mean, come on, a little bit of vibrato in there, lovely bright vowel, super powerful. Look at her mother. Her mother's like, oh shit. That's really good. What happened? It's like all the difficult, she just made whatever adjustment she made is exactly what she needed to do. Listen, like, she was having so much trouble before, and now she brings the steel and the strength and is able to traverse different registers. This is definitely more of a belt, and this is what I mean by belting is a little bit more reliable. Yeah. Yeah, she brings the power here, and it's like, it's delicious. It's scrumptious. It's very highly edible. That someone just called me out. So the famous last words, the belts aren't working. Yep, well, I got schooled, didn't I? And listen, this aspirate stuff now, she's right on the money. That's insane to me. I know a lot of singers, and I know a lot of great opera singers. I'm okay-ish. But I know a lot of really, really fantastic people. And even still, every morning when you warm up or you're practicing and you warm up first, when stuff is not working, it takes you a little bit to figure out what's going on. And that's experienced people. And she just fixed it in like 15 seconds, if that. And now she's got the little mic technique. Little runs here. I mean, what? These, oh my god, the runs are made. Even the color of the aspirate, listen to the H. Whatever the adjustment she's made, she's really doing a good job of keeping the folds together in a way that's not like violent. And you can actually hear that difference. Listen to the H. A puff. What happens when you make an H is it's a puff of air, right? The folds go open. But listen to how little her folds are opening here. It's almost like a crack instead of a puff of air. And I think this is part of the adjustment that she's made. The second I say something, she makes me look like an idiot. Listen to the aspirate again, the H. She does an aspirate abrupt there. Him, right? That's my alarm to get my brain turned into mush. This note, I don't think technically this is like that different from what we've seen, but it sounds so good. That's awesome. So as she goes into the belt here, she rounds out the vowel. It gives like a much more chocolate sound. That's a technical term. What I love here too, so her mom brings the darkness here. Right? So she brings the darkness there. In response, Mariah raises her larynx to get the sound brighter to make room for her mother. And even as her mother quiets down, she even makes that more extreme, bringing back the breathiness and going very high. That is a little classical being snuck in there. It's a whistle with vibrato. It's a whistle with vibrato that's not... A whistle is when, okay, you put the folds here and there's a little, right? Like there's a little hole there and you make the whistle, okay? But when you have vibrato, you tilt the thyroid cartilage, which stretches out the folds, so the folds are stretched and she's got a little hole there at the same time, and it's like, what? It's not right, it's not fair, it's indecent, and I feel patently ridiculous.